we split things up. We're at the end of the intro stage here still. Wrapping it up. We're not doing anything. Hitting start to get through some stuff. So the first robot we're going to go to here is actually Gigavolt Man War. This stage is awful. There is no getting around that. In this stage, you ride a hover bike through the city, trying to shoot down the Man of War before he triggers like a nuclear bomb or something. I don't know. The second trip around the city, he will, some sort of siren starts going off, and on the PS2, the game, it just can't handle it. It's ridiculously laggy. I suggest you never get there. Once you have an established time, like a good established time, if you start seeing that red light, just reset because you're going to lose so much. I mean, unless you shoot him right away. Another note about this stage is that your boost ability is controlled by weapon energy, not by the dash button or anything else. The dash button actually makes you move faster in your own plane, but it doesn't help you move forward. You need weapon energy for that. If you go to the shop to buy weapon energy, it does help you here. So the X route actually has a huge advantage in this stage. For the zero route, you go here first to get the lightning, which means you have just the base amount of weapon energy, so it becomes a little bit of a problem. So before we get into the stage itself, I will point out, yes, I selected X and 0. It doesn't really matter which order you select them in for this stage. After this, for all stages in this game, you immediately get the chance to choose a navigator. One thing to note, if you're doing New Game Plus and you're watching this guide because there's no New Game Plus guide yet, for whatever reason, don't choose 0, actually. New Game Plus, you choose Layer, because New Game Plus, you get to get the secret characters, and choosing the navigators as playable characters prevents you from getting the Select a Navigator screen, which is kind of nifty. Your navigator is always nobody. Always go to nobody. As a note, you saw there was a little bit of a text box from Alia there. If you do not see that text box, you are probably not in a new game. So look out for that. There is a delay here, I think, before you can actually select no navigator for some reason. Probably some loading time issues. I think there's some load time before the dialogue shows up there too. It's just the PlayStation 2 at work. So here's the stage that we've been talking so much about. So like I said, you can kind of you get your weapon energy to boost. The game at least tells you as much. And the dash button helps you kind of move around your current plane. It does not help you go forward, kind of into the screen. That's what your weapon energy is for. So your goal is to shoot this guy out of the sky. This is actually a stage. I know I said in the last stage you don't really care about onesie twosies. There's actually a lot of rare metals sitting around the sky. So go ahead and collect them. So you saw him crash into a sign. Don't crash into signs. So like this is going to be a sign. This kind of looks like it's one. I don't know if they're going to be in the field of play or not. But immediately you boost after him and start shooting. If you can find weapon energy, get it. There's a lot of weapon energy in the sky. So this attack is very likely to hit you. If you somehow avoid it, great. What you just saw there, you can switch characters in this game. This stage is definitely a place you want to kind of switch characters. The 0 and X, I think, are pretty much the exact same. Even Axel's the exact same in this stage. The big thing you want to do by switching characters, they each have separate weapon energy meters, so use them. And certainly if you have full weapon energy because you're this close, this is about as close as you can get to Man of War throughout the stage. If you're in his face and one character you know doesn't have full weapon energy and you see weapon energy, just get your second boost. Unless you are at the point where you have a good feel that he's almost done, I just need one more shot, something like that. So this stage really is kind of get the weapon energy and shoot him as fast as you can. Those glowing orbs that you're seeing here and there obviously are the weapon energy orbs. Those are the things you really want to get, because inevitably he dashes forward like that. I can't believe this was a PB video. It isn't anymore, fortunately, but yeah. So this section has a pair of these like bluish ones that are big. Here you can want to shoot all the way from the left side just to hit them. Avoid these bombs. This tunnel is kind of the last area, I would say. If you get to the other side of this tunnel and you don't finish him off fast, you're in a lot of trouble. You can see he is kind of sparking, just like old-timey NES bosses. You know, he looks like he's damaged. He's damaged. His only two attacks are kind of the arms and that ring of jellyfish you just saw. Wow, how long did I let this go? Alright, good. Once it zooms in on him like that, you're done. So that's really as far as you want the stage to go. You don't even really want to see the tunnel. If you see the tunnel, it's not terrible. So this is the platform you're going to fight the boss on. That whole like first section, I mean, just get through it. It's just grind it out. Learn to manage the weapon energy, learn how to hit them. Really, there's not much to it other than that, and there's no tricks. Just mash. Keep in mind on this section, there are pits on the side of the platform. Gigavolt Manowar, his attacks, let's get him on the screen. So you can push start through a couple of these things. So Gigavolt Manowar's attacks, there's a lot to go over here, actually. Not just because of Gigavolt Manowar, but because this is the first time we're going to talk about a boss fight that's really a boss fight. Normally, the Gigavolt Manowar likes to hang out on the top of the screen here, and he'll kind of swoop around. And that's most of what he does. He does also have an attack where he shows up here, and he kind of latches a couple of electrodes into the ground. This is actually the main reason you don't want to use X that much, especially if this happens, since X can't shoot up. With Zero, you kind of get the overhead slash. That'll hit him. With Axel, you can just stand underneath and shoot straight up. The other thing he can do is pretty much all those attacks I've mentioned so far. I haven't mentioned the attack here. He'll create a bunch of guys. You just hack these guys out of the way. And this time with Zero, you want to jump and slash twice. And that will take 4 hit points off of his big old life meter down here. Once you hit him 4 times with that to take off 8 hit points, Gigavolt Manowar will actually get maybe about a second of iframes. The trick with this fight, and really with every boss fight in the game, if you hit him with only like Zero's single attacks, like a jump attack or even a single slash or 1-2, like the old PlayStation 1 Saber Dash cancels, the boss will have minimal iframes. And obviously, the faster the boss gets out of iframes, the better off you are. If you hit him with anything else, his weakness, another of Zero's special attacks, pretty much any one of X's attacks, almost any one of X's attacks, the boss will get significantly longer iframes, and you'll be losing basically 1 or 2 seconds every time they enter it, which I believe, I said 8 hit points earlier, and I think you go through 8 sets of them, so I don't know if there's 64 hit points down there or not, but I know that's what the math just worked out to. The last attack I didn't mention that Gigavolt Manowar has, there's 2 more. One is his, I think it's the EX attack, whatever his desperation move is. We'll see that when we get there. The other thing is he can drop down to this point on the platform, and he'll shoot out this sort of electric cone. This is the only time in this fight you don't use Zero. Every other point of this fight, you should be using Zero unless he's out of life. When he's doing this, you can play around with the idea of jumping in there with Zero and you'll take a big hit, Zero will get knocked back, and that's the main reason I say switch to X. Yeah, you'll expose yourself to some longer iframes, but you'll also get the damage in faster. You can do it with 0 and do that other stuff, but the time it will take you to get knocked back kind of negates it. It might be faster to not switch at all and just wait it out. But let's watch this fight. What do I do? So 1, 2, 1, 2. So there you see some iframes. He's glowing white. So every boss in the game, well, every Maverick anyway. So yeah, every boss in the game. After the first 16 hit points of damage, they will get this sort of Dragon Ball Z aura around them. They usually get an extra attack or two that they'll have access to in their pattern at this point. There's some like Burn Rooster that do even weirder things. But you can't hit them while they're powering up. So they get here. You can damage them past that point, I should mention. But you'll still have to deal with the extra sets of iframes afterwards anyway. And there are a couple of points where it's possible to basically get past one cycle of iframes by kind of getting him halfway to the third set of iframes with that attack. I think Gravity Antonian's the only one that really works well on. But yeah, this whole fight is jump and slash, jump and slash, and jump and slash. The attack pattern I'm using here is like 1 slash, jump slash. Kind of made it easier for me. So there you see 0 got knocked back. So it took him a little extra time to get in there. Obviously, I don't always follow my own advice, so by all means experiment. I'm not the best speedrunner. So this is his desperation attack. Once he kind of flies off screen quickly like that, then you know it's coming. With pretty much every boss, once you get him down here, and really once you get them through 6 cycles of iframes, you end up here. You can kind of see here, this is a pretty simple attack pattern in general. You get 3 sets of this. You see the sparks. The lightning's coming. Don't stand on the sparks. It's really that easy. He gave me the same attack twice in this video. What the hell? There's a different one. Usually after this, it's pretty common for him to stay on the top of the screen. There's that lightning arm thing I mentioned earlier. Once you get him down to here, I don't know what he yells all the time, but here he yells cheese and fries, and you're done. The big medal is worth 3,000, and life is good. It's worth 3,000 or 1,500, doesn't matter. You get out of here. So from him, you get 0's dash shock, Axel's and X's sort of lightning attack, and you're good. Yay. So you get here. I do want to mention this about safeties, because this is the point where you can first make a choice on this. So you get this menu after every stage. Obviously, save is here, so if you're trying to make save states or something else, you know, memory card save states, I guess, that's where you would do it. There's this thing, chip dev, here, and that is the shop. You do have a decent chunk of chips here. If you want to, this is actually an easy place to buy some safeties. The first life upgrade for everybody is 1,500 chips. The next stage, it's not that bad, but it's very reasonable, especially as you're first learning this route, to want to get the first life upgrade for 0 before you enter Shadow Mantis' stage. You could even get a life upgrade for Axel for some extra safety. But the full run of this game does neither of those things these days. I guess in this run I'm still buying the 0 stuff. You can buy half-life bottles. This is why I'm glad I kept playing it. So those will give you a decent chunk of your life meter back. They're great safeties. The retry chips are extra lives. You should really be working the speedrun to the point you don't need them, but you can always buy them. The weapon bottle halves are on the screen, so I'll just mention you should basically never need them. And all the way at the bottom of this menu, and I might get it here. Yeah, I think that was 9 down presses to get to the prickle barrier. That is the you can walk on spikes item in this game. That one will reduce your health to 1, but you'll survive. So here I am also buying that 0 life up because I'm in the shop, I guess. And you saw I was so short on buying the Axle upgrade if I wanted it. Fortunately, I did not. But that is the Man of War stage.